Hi bloomers, welcome to another postcard from the angels. So I am taking a much needed break from social media because I was starting to feel like Pavlov's dog, and I really hate being programmed like that. It's almost like we have a physical reaction to our phone ringing and a notification bell going on, and then our computer and the need for TV, the need for this, the need for that. And I had like a Hulk moment. I said, I grew out of my outfit, and I just like, I can't take it anymore. I need a break. I couldn't take anymore opening Instagram. It's ads for this, ads for that, buy this, buy that. Same thing on TV, same thing on YouTube, same thing everywhere. I couldn't take it anymore. And I needed a break to sit down with myself and like connect with myself again and ask myself, who am I without the world outside of me? Who am I without the interference of others, right? What is my voice, and what is my voice telling me? And what does my spirit wants to create if I'm just creating for myself and not for anyone else? So I took a few days. I'm still taking a few days more because it's feeling so good. I'm not reacting to anything ringing or no notifications, no bells or anything. But it was really to make that connection, and I recorded a lot of things in the meantime. I wrote a lot of things in the meantime, but I did it for myself, for like the satisfaction of my own spirit and not to please anyone else. And that just did wonders to me. I advise it to anyone who is feeling like very confused mentally, like overwhelmed mentally, to take that break, to really cut your responses to some external factors, to actually change the way you chemically respond to some triggers, right? And that can only come from you connecting with yourself. Okay, apart from that, we're going through a moment here of a necessary break. And this necessary break is brought to us by Spirit, thank you very much, inviting us to embrace the discomfort of the unknown. So we tend to associate a lack of signals with something that we did wrong, or something that we're not doing enough, or something that we should be doing instead. And what Spirit is really asking of us is to look at this break as much as it may seem like a chaos to the human mind, it is evolution for our souls. So the more our souls evolve, and this is happening not just in our awakened state, but it's happening very remarkably during our dream space, our dream work, when we are fully surrendering to what's happening in the dream space and we're not interfering with the healing that needs to be done. So it's almost like every morning that we wake up, there is a side of us that is different, because that shift is also happening in our dream space, and that evolution is already happening. So what brings us into this space of discomfort is having to understand that we got here because our ego has led us to believe that we have healed things that we have not. And the way ego does that is by hiding the healing that is needed with pride. So our ego comes into play and says, we have already healed that. It's fine, move on. And so we move on from situations and jobs and relationships, believing that we have healed, when there is a seed of resentment still laying there. But our ego really likes to avoid pain and humility and forgiveness. And so it does anything as the coping mechanism that it is to make us avoid any opportunity for love and forgiveness. And so it says to us, we have already healed that. Move on, honey, move along. And so we keep on moving on with our lives because it is necessary. And then we come into these spaces of deep silence and contemplation. And we realize that some of those aspects haven't been healed because we are still coming from an energy of worrying. worrying about the outcomes of the past. And it's such a ridiculous thing to do, that we actually worry about the outcomes from the past, but we also worry about the outcomes from the future. So we live in a constant place of dissatisfaction. We're never fully satisfied because we're not happy with the results from the past, and we are worrying about the results from the future. So when are we actually taking time to enjoy the creation of the present? Right? So it is only our ego that wants to go into contraction and wants to go back into things. And it's not because you want them or because you need them. Your ego wants to contract into the past because the things that happen didn't happen the way you wanted them to happen. And so your ego has the need to go back and do it differently, or go back and do it better, or go back and change the circumstances, go back and show a better version of yourself, go back and diminish who you are to be in a relationship so that you're not alone. Go back into a job and act not so knowledgeable so that you can fit somewhere and have a salary, right? It's our ego that wants to contract and our soul wants to expand. And so these moments of discomfort are needed for us to evaluate all of those things. Also evaluate our response to relationships. How some relationships bring a lot of peace into our lives, and how some relationships bring a lot of chaos. And we are experiencing that polarity within our relationships, where perhaps your energetic signature of love has changed, and you no longer feel attracted to the same type of people, to the same type of energies, where you have completely disconnected and detached from who you used to be in relationships, to completely feel attracted towards something different that makes you feel different than who you wanted to feel in a relationship in the past, right? So this need for forgiveness, and I know that we exhaust this topic, forgiveness, right? It's everywhere. It's always being asked. But if you follow A Course in Miracles, which I do, you will have understood by now that forgiveness is something that you do daily, with everyone, with yourself, with every waking second of your life. You're constantly forgiving yourself and others for everything. And I don't mean this as in a full-time job that is heavy for you. I mean this as a shape of liberation, daily freedom that you achieve from that forgiveness that is constantly happening. But the forgiveness that is being asked of you here, it's not just an individual one. It is almost a source of collective forgiveness. So you can actually evolve from the environment where you are finding yourself onto the next one. So let's imagine if this is you wanting a new relationship, is you having to forgive all your past relationships, all your past partners, without any regret or resentment, before you can actually step into a higher union with a divine partner. Because that can only happen once you have released all resentment and doubts from the past. If it is in regards to a new job, or if it is in regards of you stepping into your higher purpose, then you need to let go of all your past experiences before you jump into the new environment. So it's almost like you need to take a spiritual shower to get rid of all the mud from the last 10 years of your journey, so you can step into something new. Because if you take some aspects of that pain and that suffering and that resentment and that regret onto the next level of your journey, those aspects are still going to be manifested and reflected and projected onto your experience. But because we have achieved this level of such evolution at the moment, like collectively, in terms of our collective consciousness, a lot of the things that we may try to do in our lives now are being almost blocked and denied by spirit, because our ego is no longer able to operate. Even when you get angry for like 2 seconds, and then it doesn't feel good and you have to let it go, because that's not who you are anymore. And this is accurate for relationships, but also for situations and personal discovery as well. So a lot of what is to come now in terms of divine unions and soul purpose and everything that is happening so fast now from March, even though it feels very in slow motion at the moment, everything that is happening, it's almost telling you that you cannot take these aspects of ego with you any longer. So it's not just you that need to evolve as a person and just grow out of your environment, grow out of your relationships and detach from that pain. It's not just your soul that is expanding into a whole new level of spiritual growth, but it is also your ego that needs to grow up. So ego is the constant nagging child that we carry with us, that needs to be educated, that needs to be tamed, that needs to learn how to behave. Like any other child. You need to tell them, we don't do that, we don't push other people away, we don't say mean things to people, So ego is basically the child that you carry, the wounded child that you carry within yourself, that needs to be educated, that needs to be tamed, right? So that child needs to grow up with you as well. There is no way that you can grow spiritually without your ego having to evolve as well into something else, knowing that you can never let go fully of your ego. It can be tamed, it can be educated, it can be silenced, but it can never be absolutely eliminated from your existence, because that is part of your identity, that is part of your individuality in this world, right? That's what makes you unique. That's your stamp in this life. That's what gives you your dark humor, your banter, your ability to cope with things that could be very traumatic for other people. Your ego is what allows you to perform all of those things. So treat this moment as a learning moment for your ego, knowing that yes, you are coming with me, but it's going to be different now, right? It's almost like if you have kids, you'll understand what I'm saying, because we constantly need to tell them, we're going to go into the library now, we don't run, we don't shout, we whisper, and we need to be quiet and all of this, right? So it's a moment here for you to tell your ego that, okay, this place where we're going now, we don't do this, we don't do that, we don't do this anymore, this is not allowed anymore, you need to cut the crap, and now we're going to do this differently, right? But it's such a beautiful moment, like taking that spiritual shower and going like, what feels better? What feels better? Like, does it feel good to still be doing the same thing over and over again, getting the same results, right? Or does it feel better to actually embrace the discomfort of not knowing where I'm going, but trusting that I'm going to be fine? Not because it's going to work out, but because I am going to evolve, right? So I'm going to leave it at that. But I felt that this was such an important message today. Again, I invite you all, if you are feeling a bit robotic and programmed and stuck in mental confusion and lack of clarity and all of that, I really advise you to take a break from technology and really go deep into yourself and ask yourself, who am I with all of these distractions? What do I like to eat? Like, what do I feel like eating if I'm not being bombarded with commercials all the time suggesting me to have fries and burgers? Or, what do I want to think about if I'm not being suggested to think about something? You know what I mean? Like, who am I? And then just allow nature to actually inspire you, and go outside and read a book, and be inspired by things that are actually beneficial for you, rather than feeling so overwhelmed with the pressure of buying something or watching something or following something. Or, I really felt it strongly last week, and that's why I took a break. I'll be back soon. But I felt that this was an important message, because your vibration is really outgrowing your environment. And I understand that this is not an easy thing to do, because it's almost like when you grow out of your pants and all of a sudden you're too tall. Not that I would know what that is, because I'm pocket size, but you grow out of your pants and your pants are too short for you, and you realize, like, it is time to get new pants. I don't fit here anymore, right? So that's the type of experience that your vibration is having in your environment. And Spirit is really inviting you to embrace that discomfort, having the courage to say goodbye to things, knowing that relationships never end. They just transform, they change into something else, and perhaps in the future they will transform into something else again. But it is really time for you to understand that you don't fit there anymore, and apply that forgiveness, not just individually but collectively, so that you can step into the next step of the journey. Okay, I'm sending you so much love and so many blessings, and I'm really praying that you stay safe and protected within the power of your own heart. Big love to all of you.